agent of Men in Black, but I'm from the future. We're partners.
Good, future man, where to?
First of all, I'm gonna need my gun.
No. Space gun.
The Men in Black are back, but are they better?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to another exciting week at the movies. We've been off for a couple weeks because the movie sucked. But now we're back for Men in Black.
Our mission is to monitor extraterrestrial activity on Earth.
Flacco, you know you're not supposed to be north of Canal Street.
Who is Flacco? Just relax, punk. They're looking for me, not you.
Crazy, right? Two grown men talking to the wall, wall talking back. It's a mess. But hey, don't even worry about it.
Men in Black is kind of the last thing I thought about having another sequel to in the last 10 years. I enjoyed it, but honestly, I didn't really think that I needed another chapter. So imagine my surprise when I discovered that this movie was not only as good as the original, but maybe even a little better. Now, that being said, it doesn't start off that way. As a matter of fact, the first several sequences are pretty poor. They're not bad scenes, but certainly uninspired, especially the opening sequence, which is more like a Funny or Die skit without the funny. The movie really becomes special when Agent J, again played by the wonderful Will Smith, heads back to the year 1969 to save Agent K, the always reliable Tommy Lee Jones. Now, the fact that Agent J is a black man in a suit in the 1960s is played for some pretty big laughs here. However, it's Josh Brolin as the young Agent K that steals the show. He is truly remarkable and doing so much more than just impersonating Mr. Jones. He becomes Agent K in the same way Jones did, but with the emotion that Jones was lacking. Now, that's not to say that Tommy Lee Jones was not pulling off Agent K when he was introducing this character 15 years ago. He was outstanding and very funny. What it is saying is that there was a time when Agent K would actually smile sometimes, and Agent J's search for when K lost that emotion is the true heart of this movie. There are plenty of laughs, silly aliens, lame bad guys, and some action sequences that look pretty cool in 3D, but it's the characters that win you over. I expected all of the nonsense, even expected a bit of fun, but I never expected the great big heart at the center of this film. It's that heart that takes it the extra mile. So if you're going for Will Smith and a lot of silly laughs with aliens, then you'll get what you came for. However, I think you'll come in talking about that, but you will leave talking about the ending that just might make you cry. 3 stars for Men in Black 3.
They've created a barrier.
My radar's totally down.
They can't seem to penetrate it.
We have 3 destroyers still unaccounted for, so it's conceivable we do have somebody inside.
What are your orders? We're going in.
Battleship is a big, dumb, over-the-top, and sometimes very fun Michael Bay action movie without the Michael Bay. After watching this film for just a couple of minutes, it made me realize quite quickly the balancing act of entertainment Michael Bay does with his movies. They are certainly always all over the place and over the top, but he manages to utilize all the tricks of the trade to expertly manipulate the audience from one scene to the next. Peter Berg cannot do that here. He wants to so badly, but he just doesn't have the skills yet. Now, just because I think this movie is stupid and disappointing doesn't mean that this is not fun. It is, at times, a lot of fun, and at least 30 or 40 minutes is pure adrenaline-filled bit of Navy is badass, overly patriotic, nonsensical craziness. So, what is the plot for a movie based on a board game? Well, of course it's about a 26-year-old loser whose brother makes him join the Navy only to screw that up until an alien race traps Hawaii in a force field, forcing him to show he's more of a man than everyone thinks. The 26-year-old loser is played by Taylor Kitsch, who is quickly becoming the next action hero. And those aliens are the pieces on the board game. I'm not kidding about any of this. There is actually a scene in this movie where they use the buoys in the water to find the aliens' movement, and it works just like the board game. As silly as this is, I actually thought that from about the halfway mark, this movie was extremely entertaining, and that board game scene was my favorite part. So despite the fact that Peter Berg is no Michael Bay, and this movie is really stupid if you think about it, this is a decent time at the movies. I know that sounds like pretty tepid recommendation, and it is, but it is a recommendation nonetheless, sort of. However, if you decide that you wanted to just stay home and watch one of the Transformers movies, then I wouldn't blame you. 2.5 stars for Battleship.
You scared?
I'm scared too.
Having a baby can be a real mother.
I want that, Pedro.
You said you didn't want it, and you said that even if you did ask for it, that would just be the crazy talking.
Carrie, get me the juice.
What to expect when you're expecting is exactly what you would expect. That is, if you were expecting anything, you would expect this. I personally didn't expect anything, so my expectations mean very little, but if I was expecting anything, this is what I would have expected. Speaking of expecting, that's exactly what every woman in this movie is doing. Cameron Diaz is expecting, Elizabeth Banks is expecting, Anna Kendrick is expecting. Jennifer Lopez is kind of expecting, although you expect J-Lo to know what she's expecting a little more than the rest because she's been expecting to adopt for a while. So is any of this expecting worth inspecting? Not really. If you were expecting fun, it won't meet your expectations. If you were expecting laughs, it will hardly meet your expectations. If you were expecting characters worth caring for, then you better expect something else. Honestly, the only thing you should expect is that you'll probably like the Anna Kendrick story. It is kinda worth expecting, if you must expect this movie. However, if you can get rid of your expectations and forget this movie, then you will not have to think about any of the expecting you were expecting. If not, then I'm sorry, you might just get what you expect. 2 stars for what to expect when you're expecting.
This place was abandoned overnight. They had no time to take anything. Factories, schools, stores, apartments, everything's still there.
What can pass for a story nowadays is just mind-boggling. Case in point, the new so-called movie Chernobyl Diaries. I say so-called because I still believe that to be a movie you should be required to have at least a story, some type of act structure, even if it's like 10 acts, and some arc to your characters. This movie takes that whole concept into question. The chain of events here are basically that in the first third of the film, our characters each get a sentence of character development. They decide to visit Chernobyl, and a tour guide takes them there. The other hour involves convenient trappings, bad decisions, zombie-like creatures that are never fully explained, and every other horror movie cliche they could possibly pull out of the book that must be floating around in Hollywood. It also has a lot of horrible and shaky camera work. There's actually one scene in this movie where 2 of our heroes fight these zombie-radiated things off, but the camera is shaking so much that I can honestly say that I have no idea what really happened. However, the thing I don't want to lose hold of here is the lack of story. Horror movies have always been thin, but now they don't even bother. Ever since the Paranormal Activity movies came out of the shadows to save us from the Saw movies, we have decided we would trade super ridiculously brain-dead torture porn movies for movies that didn't need a brain at all. It seems that just simply staring at something until it moves is cause to celebrate. This is what was done in the Activity movies, and the same thing is done here. It is even more scary now that our new horror directors think it is cool to give us a short film with actors we don't know and no plot at all. Hopefully, you will reward this type of filmmaking by skipping it. Otherwise, we may never watch a story again. Dun dun. 1 star for Chernobyl Diaries.
That's it for what's new this summer. Let's check out what's new this winter.
Country.
England.
Gun.
Shot.
Agent.
Provocateur.
Murder.
Employment.
Skyfall. Skyfall.
Done. Some men are coming to kill us.
We're gonna kill him first.
New York, 1922. The tempo of the city had changed sharply. The buildings were higher. The parties were bigger. The morals were looser and the liquor was cheaper. The restlessness approached hysteria.
Shall we?
Who is this Gatsby?
Do you know him?
War hero.
Mr. Gatsby doesn't exist.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
I beg your pardon. Mr. Gatsby would like to speak to you. Alone.
I'm certainly glad to see you again.
I'm certainly glad to see you as well.
When I made the pleasure of Mr. Gatsby's acquaintance, I discovered a man of fine breeding.
Very interesting. Everything all right?
Oh, yes.
Love is blindness. I don't wanna see. Won't you wrap the night?
You always look so cool. The man in the cool, beautiful shirts.
She has to tell him she never loved him.
I've just heard the most shocking thing. It all makes sense.
Will you come, old sport? We need you.
I wish we could just run away.
Mr. Gatsby, sir.
Not now.
Love is blindness. I don't wanna see. Won't you wrap the night around me?
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house?
I wish I'd done everything on earth with you.
That's gonna do it for this week's show. Be sure to tune in next week when we have brand new reviews of Snow White and the Huntsman.
Do you hear that? It's the sound of battles fought and lives lost.
And Moonrise Kingdom.
What am I looking at?
He does watercolors, mostly landscapes, but a few nudes.
Want more movies, reviews, and videos? Visit our website online at www.thankufw.com. And as always, we thank you for watching.